welcome to another great podcast session. I'm Shivani Muthyala. As people and companies started to realize the importance of data, efficient, reliable, and scalable data center infrastructures have been gaining a lot of momentum these days. And today we're going to explore more about the data center solutions, its future, and trends with the help of our speaker for the day. Today we have Sanjay Motwani, Business Head of Legrand Data Center Solutions, to elaborate more on this topic. Hi Sanjay, welcome to Analytics Inside podcast.
Hey, hi, Shivani. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure to have you here on the podcast. So, first of all, could you brief our listeners what Legrand Data Center Solutions is all about?
Okay, so Legrand has been in the data center space for many years. However, we've been present as different brand entities. For example, you look at Reddit, or you want to look at Numeric, or you want to look at Starline. So, and all these entities have been approaching the same set of customers individually. So Legrand Data Center Solutions is nothing but the aggregation of all these various individual entities with one objective of being able to service our customers better. So the idea is that instead of 5 people going from the same organization to the same set of customers, you have one person who engages with the client. And you are able to therefore look at the spectrum in a holistic manner, end to end, and you're able to therefore offer a better solution to the customer. The idea is to have one identity, one positioning, one messaging, and an improved solution for the customer. So that's what Legrand Data Center Solutions / LDCS is about.
Happy to know about, Legrand Data Center Solutions. And we would like to know what are its specializations and what is the unique services that, the company is offering.
See, specializations in the sense, I did mention a few brands earlier. Now, all these brands are specialists in the product or service category which they deal with. So whether you want to look at power distribution unit, or you want to look at UPS side, or you want to look at data connectivity, you want to look at data management, structured cabling, etc. All these are, all the products and services in these categories are specialists in their own way. Now, when you ask me something like, what's unique, to be honest, in technology, every organization is unique for a very small window because technology catches up very fast. But the way we approach the products and services for our customers is that all our products, by and large, are designed to improve the operational efficiency of our customers. So the design element in all our products enables our customers to be more efficient, more flexible, and it allows them better scalability. So that's the thought process behind the whole product portfolio, which cuts across all product categories, which is why our positioning for LDCS is designed for agility.
Great. And sounds interesting. And how are your services actually, benefiting your clients?
Okay, so let's put on a client's hat. Now, if I'm a client and I am talking to somebody who is providing me, let's say, a bus bar product, and I'm engaging with a bus bar specialist, then I'm also engaging with another set of sales guys or technical people, let's say, who are also looking at UPS. And at the same time, I'm also trying to look at power distribution units, which provide power to the equipment in the data center. I'm dealing with a third set of sales guys and technical experts. Now, if I have one person who can look at how the power supply is going from UPS being carried on a bus bar to the power distribution to the end equipment. And this one person can help me tie in all the loose ends, look at all the connectivity issues. It's an end-to-end solution from a client's perspective. And obviously, what's happening is there is a seamless integration which happens when you're looking at an end-to-end solution from UPS till the power is reaching the equipment in the rack. So the clients benefit in terms of a better solution which they get and the ease of interaction with a person who is skilled and able to talk across all product categories end to end. So the quality of solution improves, the engagement experience improves, the solution improves for the client. So that's how the clients are benefiting from this
Yeah,
approach.
that indeed is benefiting clients, whether it be through better solutions or with ease of interaction or the quality or engagement for that matter. Amazing. And since the convergence of companies these days have been very commonly seen, right? And how do you see the convergence of the industry leading brands? Can they add some value to the country's data center infrastructure as well?
Absolutely. I mean, this pretty much echoes what I stated earlier. When you're looking at leading brands, now, when I'm saying convergence, I'm obviously taking the example of LDCS only. When you look at the brands which we've spoken about, Starline, Veritone, Legrand itself, Numeric, etc., all these are coming under one umbrella. So the ability for a customer in terms of to optimize what is operating in his environment becomes better. And at the end of the day, the resources are limited. What's happening is if you are able to improve the efficiencies, you are able to maximize the infrastructure which is available with you, and there is minimal wastage, which overall helps not only the organization, but also the country as a whole, because you're not wasting resources to that extent.
Yeah, rightly pointed out regarding the resources, even with regard to the efficiency. So, while coming to the go-to-market strategy, this has been trending, to deliver unique propositions to the customers and also for enhancing, the customer experiences. So, what do you think is the role of go-to-market in the present scenario, especially in a setting like Indian, post-pandemic times?
What is the role of go-to-market in the Indian scenario? Uh, Obviously, go-to-market is the foundation on which all organizations work on in terms of trying to engage with the customers. And if the go-to-market is incorrect or not strategically structured correctly, then obviously the organization suffers. So when you're saying go-to-market, for example, the way we try and do our go-to-market is in terms of solution design, we engage directly as an organization with the end customer so that we can get the best design out for our customers. But at the same time, we also leverage the channel community in our go-to-market strategy. So the channel community is then able to execute the orders for our clients. Now, this has a kind of a win-win situation for us and for the customer and for the channel community. Now, if you look at it, because as an organization, we are engaging directly with the end customer, the solution is of the best quality in nature. The channel community is also working with us closely in terms of how we are approaching the challenges which a customer is facing. And the channel community, therefore, is able to learn from our experience in terms of how to design optimal solutions. And so as we move forward, the skill sets of the channel community are also being enhanced. So over a period of time, you will see if there are certain kind of solutions or challenges which we as an organization are doing today, in a year or two, the same solutions and designs, the channel can do it themselves without our support. So this frees us as an organization to look at newer challenges uh, for the customer. And as far as the customer is concerned, he is getting best of both worlds. He's getting the best of solution design and best of implementation. So yes, to answer your question about go-to-market strategy, yes, it is very critical for any organization to have the right go-to-market strategy, and that's how we've built ours.
Interesting. It is really very interesting to know how Legrand is actually leveraging go-to-market. And yeah, of course, it's a win-win situation for both, the company as well as for the customers. But how do you see this strategy working in the post-pandemic time?
See, it's working brilliantly, honestly. The What's happened is, okay, so before I hit the post-pandemic, let's look at during pandemic. We are a technology company in a technology space. So obviously engaging our clients with the technology was not difficult. In fact, thankfully, the clients were able to also engage with us. And we utilized the pandemic period to educate and train our channel community to a very high degree. Since the travel was minimized, there was, let's say, relatively more time available for the channel community to spend on training, etc. Now, what's happened is in the post-pandemic is we have a channel community which is far more trained and skilled and able to assist us and the client in a better way. Not that the channel community would not have got trained, it's just that uh, because it was a focused, extensive training over a period of 1 year, the speed of learning has increased. So the speed of our ability to deliver post-pandemic uh, with the help of channel community, therefore has improved. What would have normally taken 2 or 3 years, we've accomplished in 1 year.
True. And yeah, it is very important, in the present scenario to educate and, train the channel community. So could you give us more examples of, in this training process or during the pandemic?
Examples as in, sorry. I mean, for example, what? Okay. So, for example, what we did is we took on real-time case situations or challenges which we have observed, which the clients face. And sure, there is some basic product knowledge which the channel community has. But if you give them complicated uh, case studies to solve, then they are able to address those case studies differently, and they have a little more time to be able to address it. And so the way these trainings were structured were we give them a case study, they come back to us with a proposed solution for the case study, and then we work with them. Then it becomes some kind of a workshop wherein they explain as to how they're approaching and why they're approaching the way they are approaching, and we tell them that these are the ABCD things you could do to improve the solution design. So it's an iterative process. So every case study would take typically 2 to 3 sessions of discussion. And when you're looking at real-time case studies, then the learning is extremely high. And rather than, you give them a product manual or you give them the standard product training sessions like this is a product, this is how it needs to be deployed, or this is how it needs to be used. But with the help of using use case studies in a workshop-like manner, the learning is extensive and more practical in terms of what actually happens in real time with customers. So that's how it's kind of benefited.
Great, and this is actually, amazing technique, and many of the companies hearing this podcast may also benefit from this technique as well. So, and as data centers are going to be in demand, not only now but also in the future too, how can we build an agile and future-ready data centers?
How do you build agile and future-ready data centers? Uh, and the short answer is that you build flexibility in your design when you're trying to build a data center. And when we say flexibility, it means that you are able to adapt to the demands of the market rather than being stuck with what you have and with little room for maneuverability. Let's take a simple example. Uh, Traditionally, people use under the floor cabling to provide power to the racks in a data center. And if you've got, let's say, 20 racks in a row, or 40 or 50 racks in a row, there is 50 sets of cables coming out from under the floor. Now, if you want to expand, let's say another 10 racks in a data hall at the same row, you've got to go under the floor, put more wires or cables in, which is a messy affair. I mean, there's tons of cables already floating around. Or if you want to redesign some of the racks, not redesign the racks, redesign the data center hall, which you want to move some racks around, you cannot do so because there is cabling already pre-configured for a certain design. Now, instead of using underfloor cabling for providing power, if you were to use bus bars, which are overhead bus bars, which have sliding tap-off boxes, you can slide where your power is dropping from the bus bar. It gives you a huge amount of flexibility in terms of where you want to drop the power from today or tomorrow. Second, traditionally, when you're in the same example, when you're trying to take power to the rack, you would take typically a single phase 16 amperage or 32 amperage power cables, which provide you, let's say, X amount of power to your rack. But when you are using a bus bar with three-phase power provisioning, you are pretty much future-proof in terms of the amount of power you can provide to your rack. You can easily scale up from 7 kilowatts to 20 kilowatts or even 40 kilowatts per rack. But if you were to try and do that with the existing underfloor power cables, it would be a Herculean task, both in terms of time, effort, and money. So when we say you want to be agile, you have to be agile in terms of being your infrastructure modular. Then you want to look at UPS. You rather buy modular UPS so that you can use X amount of a UPS today. And if your infrastructure is increasing, then modular UPS, you can make X plus Y plus Z as your demands and load factor increases. So you need to be able to scale it up accordingly. So when we talk of agility, what you're trying to say is you need to be modular in your design element, which allows you the flexibility to adapt to the business demands as they grow, and which they will grow, given what's happening, what's with the data being generated, volume of data being generated.
This is really, insightful. And as you rightly pointed out, building a flexible data centers in design is, truly needed to cater to the future needs. So, along with the data centers, even the micro data centers have been playing a vital role, right, in the present scenario. So, what new trends exist in India as of now in terms of micro data centers?
Okay. There are two aspects to it. One is when you talk about trends in a micro DC, there are two aspects. One is the technology aspect from vendors like us. So technology is pretty much in place in terms of being able to configure and provide a micro data center, whether it's us some of the other vendors. The important aspect in micro DC is the industry's acceptance of this micro data center. So what's happening with a micro DC today is, how I would put it is, that the industry is flirting with the concept and technology. They're trying to understand what technology is available, which is relatively simple. But when I say they're flirting with the concept of micro DCs, what I mean by saying is, how are they going to deploy a micro DC in their business environment? Now, that's the concept they're trying to understand and see. At the end of the day, let's look at retail outlets. Now, if there's a retail chain and they want to, and there is an increased amount of data which is being generated and processed at the retail outlet, then they need to understand how much is being generated locally and how much of it can be processed locally to enhance the customer experience in the retail outlet. So that's the concept trying to deal with. It's not only about technology or the IT side. Now here what happens is it's the IT which is working in close tandem with the business side, which comes into play. So the business side and the IT side need to be able to work very closely together on this aspect and see how to leverage the micro DC for enhancement of the business goals. So, which is why I say right now the industry is flirting with the concept and technology. There have been some experiments in the market. People are learning from those experiments. So the short answer is, do I see growth in the micro DC? Yes, I do see a huge growth in the micro DC in the years to come.
Great. So, along with the growth, what kinds of opportunities, would it be generating for the brands as well as for the industries, do you think?
Okay, so the way I look at it is today, if you look at especially the population in India outside tier 3 cities, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 cities, you will and must have seen or experienced, they are adopting the digital evolution, and they have slowly becoming a part of the digital revolution, both in terms of the entertainment side or in terms of financial transactions with digital wallets coming into play. So when I look at micro DC in the long term, I look at it from the point of view about enabling and including the rural India as a part of the digital revolution. It's not so much about tier 1, 2, or maybe 3 cities. It's about the smaller towns in tier 4, tier 5, tier 6 cities, where we are looking at, for example, last mile retail outlets. We're also looking at, for example, skills development in these small towns. There is healthcare, which is leveraging technology to reach out to these smaller towns. So when you're looking at this kind of development, which is happening at a national scale, it is the micro DC which is going to play a very critical role in enabling, I would say, India as a whole to be digitally savvy in that context. While today the market size numbers may be smaller in terms of the small towns, but given the fact what we've learned through the pandemic is that work from anywhere is possible, so definitely this is going to happen. And so this is how everybody is going to benefit, both on the supply side and on the consumption side and on the business side. So technology people like us would be able to provide technology. Business would leverage this technology to reach their consumers in smaller towns. So it's the consumer, it's the businesses, it's vendors like us. All of us will benefit. And therefore, micro DC will play a huge role for all brands.
It's really, interesting to know how it is going to benefit even the rural cities as well. And since Legrand is driven by technology, what is the company's outlook towards the technology as well as the business in 2021?
In 2021, obviously, we are still playing start, stop with pandemic being around. Thankfully, it's more start than stop so far. As far as technology is concerned, there's no major drastic change, which is from last year. Sure, we will be, as always, introducing new products, new technologies this year. But in terms of growth, we definitely expect to grow far more than what the industry growth is being pegged at. So that's what we are looking at for this year. And 2021, we just got about 5 more months left. So far, it's been touchwood very decent, and we hope to continue for the rest of the year.
Great to know. And lastly, what advice would you like to give to the upcoming leaders who are actually wanting to enter into the data center sphere?
The advice. Okay, advice is a wrong word, I would say, especially for somebody like me. The only thought process which I would like anybody coming into the space would be that I think if the survival has become for the ability to adapt. And I think pretty much Darwin said that it's not the survival of the fittest, it's the survival of the person who can adapt to the changing environment. And the environment is changing at a rapid pace every day. And the rate of change is only going to increase. And the key to survival is the ability to adapt. So whatever businesses you are in, and you're entering into the data center space, whether it's a data center space or even traditional businesses outside of the data center space, the ability to adapt to the changing environment is going to be the key to survival. So whatever business plans are there, they should be designed with the focus on being able to adapt to the changing marketplace. That's what comes to my mind.
Great. And truly, I think it's mandatory, to adopt to the situations as well as, to the circumstances or, technology to stay in market. It's really important. And, hope our listeners have gained valuable insights from this session and, looking forward to see many more innovative solutions coming up from Legrand. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for joining us today. It was really a pleasure talking to you.
Hey, thanks, Shivani. Likewise, pleasure speaking to you as well.
Thank you. So, listeners, stay tuned for more such interesting podcasts. Thank you.